Men who do this are highly attractive to women. What qualities truly make a man sexy and attractive?
I'm about to reveal something that will completely change how you see dating forever. Last week, I witnessed something at a coffee shop that perfectly explains why most men remain completely invisible to women their entire lives. There was this guy, probably mid-20s, well-groomed, nicely dressed, laser-focused on the woman sitting across from him. I observed their interaction for nearly 40 minutes. I watched him make mistake after mistake, and here's the shocking part. He genuinely believed he was doing everything perfectly. That's the problem right there. That's what's happening to you. Because 99% of men are running the exact same faulty program, following a script they think works, completely unaware that their minds have been wired for failure from day one. Today, I'm going to show you how to completely rewire that programming. But listen carefully. Most guys will never have the guts to actually implement this. Here's the brutal reality. Every man believes his situation is unique, that his circumstances are different. He thinks because he's polite or funny or successful, he deserves better results. But none of that matters if your fundamental approach is wrong. It's like trying to run iPhone apps on an Android phone. No matter how amazing the app is, it simply won't function. Let me ask you something. How many times have you had an amazing conversation with a woman where everything clicked perfectly, only to have her completely ghost you afterward? How many times have you been the perfect gentleman, followed all the traditional advice, just to watch her choose someone who barely put in any effort? That's not coincidence. That's not bad timing. That's pure psychology at work. I discovered this harsh truth when I was 21. I was at this party, standing quietly in the corner wearing my best outfit, perfect manners, completely polished, and completely invisible. Meanwhile, there was this guy Marcus. Marcus wasn't particularly attractive. Marcus had no money. Marcus looked like he'd grabbed his clothes from a thrift store without looking. Yet 3 different women were competing for his attention, while I stood there thinking, what exactly is happening here? That night taught me something that took years to fully grasp. Women aren't attracted to your accomplishments. They're not impressed by your good intentions. They're definitely not drawn to how desperately you want their validation. Actually, the more you chase their approval, the less they want to give it to you. It's reverse psychology. The harder you try, the faster you fail. I know this doesn't make logical sense. That's exactly why men fail 98% of the time. They keep trying to solve an emotional puzzle with logical solutions. Think about this. The mental programming running your brain was installed when you were 5 years old. Your mom taught you to be nice to girls. Teachers told you to respect women. Society programmed you with happy wife, happy life. But none of this actually creates attraction. You've been trained to become exactly what women subconsciously find unappealing, an overeager people pleaser. What they actually respond to is someone who's self-contained, unpredictable, independent, not aggressive or hostile, but genuinely autonomous. Here's how this works in practice. Every conversation you have contains what I call tension points, moments where you either increase or decrease emotional energy. Most men are terrified of any tension. When she seems uncomfortable, you immediately crack jokes. When she challenges you, you back down. When she tests your boundaries, you try even harder to please her. You're so focused on winning her approval that you miss the fundamental truth. Comfort kills desire. Think about it. When's the last time you got excited about something completely predictable? When did a movie with zero conflict keep you engaged? Never. Because humans, especially women, are hardwired for emotional stimulation. They crave uncertainty, challenge, push and pull dynamics. But most men behave like instruction manuals. Step 1, I like you. Step 2, I'll do anything for you. Step 3, please pick me. Conclusion: boring. Now listen carefully. I'm not suggesting you become cruel or dismissive. Some guys think that since women respond to excitement, they need to act like jerks. That's completely wrong. Women don't want bad men. They want independent men. Men who have their own lives, their own values, their own sense of self, and don't completely lose themselves the moment an attractive woman appears. Here's a practical example. You match with someone online. She's stunning. Your instinct is to craft something witty and clever to prove you're special. You've already lost. Why? Because your entire approach depends on her reaction. You're not expressing yourself authentically. You're performing. You're not communicating. You're auditioning. And women can sense this desperation immediately. So what should you do instead? Write something that genuinely amuses you. Share something that entertains you personally. Act like you have 10 other equally interesting conversations happening, and this is just one more interaction. That energy, that self-amusement, that groundedness, that's what cuts through all the noise. This is where most men fail, even when they understand the concept. They try to fake this confidence while still desperately caring inside. They pretend not to care while obsessing over every response. You can't fake authentic confidence. Women have been observing male behavior since they were teenagers. They've seen every trick, every technique, every manipulation attempt. Their intuition is incredibly sharp. You can't perform your way to attraction. You have to genuinely become it. Let me share a personal story. 3 years ago, I met this woman who was absolutely stunning. The type that makes you rearrange your entire schedule just hoping to see her again. We were having this great conversation until she said something I completely disagreed with. The old version of me would have nodded politely and agreed. But instead, I looked her directly in the eyes and said, "That's honestly the most ridiculous thing I've heard today." Earlier, I talked to my neighbor who thinks birds are government surveillance drones. She looked shocked for a second, then burst out laughing, then leaned in with genuine curiosity. Why? Because every other guy had agreed with everything she said. I was the first person to treat her like a normal human being instead of putting her on a pedestal. When you elevate someone too high, you force them to look down on you. It's simple physics. She can't respect someone who worships her because worship creates inequality. And women can't feel attraction without some level of challenge or tension. It's biological. Just like you can't feel desire for someone you're not physically attracted to, she can't feel romantic interest in someone who eliminates all emotional tension. Here's the biggest mistake men make. They think attraction works like addition. Add more compliments. Add more dates. Add more attention. Add more availability. But attraction actually works through subtraction. Subtract your constant presence. Subtract your need for immediate responses. The space you create is where desire grows. The uncertainty is what pulls her in. Think about your phone right now. If someone always responds instantly, is always available, always says yes to everything, how valuable do their messages feel to you? Not valuable at all. Because what's always accessible becomes worthless. It's basic economics. You've flooded the market with yourself and destroyed the scarcity. But when someone responds sometimes, disappears occasionally, shows interest one moment and pulls back the next, suddenly you're checking your phone wondering what they're doing, why they haven't answered, what's happening in their world. That's the position you want to be in, not the reverse. Here's what will happen to most men watching this. They'll agree with everything I'm saying. It will make perfect sense. They'll take notes. But tomorrow morning, their old programming will kick in. The people-pleasing protocol will activate. They'll do exactly what they've always done because changing this requires more than understanding. It requires practice, failure, and emotional reconditioning. I went through this transformation myself. At first, I failed spectacularly with this new approach. I overcorrected. I went from too nice to completely cold, from too available to disappearing entirely, from too agreeable to unnecessarily confrontational. It took me probably 100 interactions before I found the right balance. But here's what I discovered during that process. Even my mistakes were more attractive than my old perfect behavior. Even while I was stumbling and getting it wrong, women were more interested than when I was being the ideal nice guy. You want to know when this finally clicked for me? I was on a date with this incredibly beautiful woman, the type that makes other men stop and stare. Halfway through dinner, I realized something. I was genuinely bored. She was gorgeous, but not interesting. Instead of pretending enthusiasm just because she was attractive, I told her honestly, "You're beautiful, but this conversation is putting me to sleep. I'm going home. Netflix would be more engaging." And I left. You know what happened? She called me that same night. The next day, this woman who had men chasing her for years was suddenly pursuing me. Not because I used some technique or played a game, but because I genuinely valued my time and attention more than her beauty alone. That's real power. That's authentic confidence. Most men don't understand this principle. It's not about being dismissive or cruel. It's about having standards that go beyond physical attraction.